What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Today, we're going to be breaking down Jordan Howard versus Joe Mixon. And you guys really liked the Josh Gordon video, requested I do another video of the same type. So I'm going to do this one. We're going to break down how I feel in PPR versus standard. Before we get into the overall breakdown, I want to look at each player individually. Look at the good and look at the bad. So we're going to start off with Joe Mixon. We're going to look at the things that make him a good pick, and then we're going to look at the things that maybe increase his risk. Then we're going to do the same with Jordan Howard, and we're going to combine the two. We're going to say, okay, if we're in the draft, who are we taking? Now, this analysis, obviously, you're not going to have this pick every single time. You know, every one of your drafts is going to come down to Jordan Howard and Joe Mixon. Sometimes it's going to come down to Joe Mixon versus someone else, Jordan Howard versus someone else. So I'm going to say how I like them overall, but ultimately the video is comparing the two, so we're going to do that. Before we do that, however, stat of the day. Friday's stat of the day was what running back had 10 carries inside the 5-yard line, 1 touchdown. So basically what running back was very, very bad in goal line carries, it was LeGarrette Blount. We have told you guys time and time again, Blount is not that good, and he's really not very efficient at the goal line. Just because he has touchdowns on the Patriots doesn't say anything. Terrible at the goal line. Zachariah Kassam got that stat of the day today. Sticking with running back since it's a running back video. What running back had the lowest breakaway percentage through the first 8 weeks of last season? So only looking at the first 8 weeks among qualified running backs, who had the lowest breakaway percentage.
So, Mixon, going as running back 15, 26 overall. That's for PPR scoring. In standard, it's slightly lower. For Howard, whatever I say, it's going to be PPR again, but in standard, he's going slightly higher. Joe Mixon is a very good athlete. Everyone knows this. That's like an undeniable fact. 92nd percentile head adjusted speed score, 75th percentile SparkX score. Most comparable player on playerprofiler.com, Ezekiel Elliott. He is a very talented player. You put him on a team that is a more prolific offense, has a better offensive line, and he's going to do a lot better. Now, he struggled last season, and we will get to that, but part of that has to do with the offense, and part of that has to do with being a rookie. This is going to be his second season in the NFL, and he did have some good qualities last season. 12th best run grade, 9th in yards per route run, so he's a great receiving back. 16th overall grade, 16th best overall grade. 320 yards created on rushing attempts was 51% of his rushing yardage. So he created 51% of his rushing yardage. That was second among backs with at least 100 carries, all according to playerprofiler.com. So everything above this was playerprofiler.com. Highly recommend using that site. And they upgraded the offensive line. Now, is it a fantastic offensive line? Not at all. But it was really bad last season. And I think that having a second year in that system, maybe not having so many injuries in the offense, I mean, we don't know, but maybe that won't happen. An improved offensive line will help him out. But he's going to need some help because he was very inefficient last season and he had some very bad metrics. So 1.1% of his carries went for 20 or more yards. 1.1%. That was one of the lowest in the league. Lowest elusiveness rating among 28 qualified running backs. That's not good. Third lowest breakaway percentage. That's not good. He had only 5 carries of 15 or more yards. Jordan Howard had 15 of those. Orleans Darkwa had 10, and Frank Gore at age 34 had 7. That's also not good. 5 carries of 15 or more yards. That's where we get our points. You know, like, it's helpful when a guy's getting 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, but you got to break away some carries. Third lowest breakaway percentage. Like that, you need to do better than that if you're going to succeed in fantasy. He was bottom 6 in yards after contact per attempt and bottom 6 in missed tackles forced per attempt. 12th lowest yards per carry versus expected. Remember that article I told you all to read? I'll link it again in the description. I think I link it every single video. But Scott Barrett did a fantastic article looking at expected yards per carry. So what you should have gotten versus what you did. 12th lowest in that. So he wasn't good. He was really bad last season, and then right towards the end of the season, when he's finally getting that, I'll say quote unquote featured role, because Bernard was still there, but he had a lot more opportunity than what he was used to in the beginning half of the season. Gets the 2 weeks of the concussion. So if that doesn't happen, is he going higher in drafts? Possibly. It's entirely possible. If he doesn't have that concussion and he has maybe 100 total yards and a touchdown in one of those games, maybe this is a different story. But we just haven't seen what we expect from his talent yet. Could it happen this year? Absolutely. Like, he has the talent to completely bust out this season. He is a mixture of Ezekiel Elliott and Le'Veon Bell. And we all know Bell wasn't amazing in his rookie year. He was pretty efficient too. So sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's tough behind a really bad offensive line on an anemic offense. But I think that signs are pointing up for his future. We've heard rumblings that they want to use him as a bell cow. I never believe what I hear right now, and I suggest none of you do as well. Because Bernard is there, and Bernard is a fantastic receiving back, and Bernard was actually, in some aspects not, but in some aspects more efficient than Mixon was, given the same offensive line. So I would say pump the brakes and saying he's top 5 if anyone believes that he could be Lev Bell this season. That's probably very unlikely, but he has that potential going into the future. We just don't know when it's going to happen.
So let's move on to Jordan Howard, and then we'll mix the two after.
Jordan Howard gets a pretty bad rap, which I'll get into in the next part, but for not being a spectacular athlete. He's actually 79th percentile head adjusted speed score. It's just the rest, like his explosiveness, his spark X, it's not massively like elite. Like, he's not an elite running back. He's bigger and faster than a lot of guys. I mean, 79th percentile height adjusted speed score. Remember, we look at that, not just speed score. That's pretty good. 9th in breakaway percentage, so he can break away. Remember the 15 runs, 15 or more yards? That was 4th in the league. So that's really good going for him. He had a positive differential in yards per carry versus expected. Remember, Mixon was near the bottom of the league. Well, Howard was, I'm not going to say towards the top. It was more like maybe the 40th percentile, but it was still above average, so he did better than he should have. 10th in yards created. 2nd softest schedule through week 10. I want to highlight this part because last season he faced the 5th toughest overall run defensive schedule. This is according to Warren Sharp, who's like the go-to guy. I think it's sharpfootballanalysis.com, but really just type in Sharp Football into Google and you'll find it. He's the go-to guy for this sort of analytics stuff. And this updates what I'm going to talk about next throughout the season, or throughout the offseason as we get different lines for sports betting. But last season, 5th toughest run defensive schedule. They had absolutely no offensive weapons really, like besides him. I mean, they had no one to throw to. So they ran a ton because they had no one to throw to, 7th most carries in the league. So teams, they were bad. They didn't score a ton of points. They weren't ahead in very many games. They had no one to throw to, so teams knew that they were running the ball, yet they still ranked in the top half in efficiency, and they were 7th in explosiveness in the run game. This season is different. This season they faced the 4th softest schedule of opposing defenses. So last season was real tough. Major difference. This season it's much easier, and they're improved. We got Allen Robinson. They drafted a rookie running back, or a rookie wide receiver that looks really good to fill the slot role. They brought in Gabriel as a deep threat. They brought in Burton at tight end. So when you have Robinson, Miller, Gabriel, Burton, that's a massive upgrade over what they had last season. You added another season as Trubisky for an off season, another season to develop. It was just one season to develop. He was thrown right in last season. So I think Trubisky improves. I think the passing game improves. I think they can improve on their win total, which wins correlates well with running back success. You're up a lot. That shifts the game plan more towards a run-heavy scheme. So he's not going to get he's probably not going to lead the league in carries because I don't think the Bears are going to be a top 5 team or anything. But they're not facing that hard of a schedule. So could they eke out 8 wins? Tough, but could they be 500? They could. That could happen. And under a scenario like that, Jordan Howard's going to get a lot of carries. Now you flip to the downside, and this is where his risk comes in. Remember I talked about him not being like the best athlete. Like he's still big and fast, but 35th percentile SparkX score, not great. 15th percentile college catch rate, really not good. He was last season in yards per route run, second lowest receiving grade from Pro Football Focus. He was 5th in attempts, which is great, but only 10th in PPR points. 23 receptions, ranked 48th among running backs. So there's no ceiling. When you have no ceiling for receptions, I'll say. When you have the weapons they brought in, there's no way he sees over 23 receptions. Cohen's going to have a major role, and all those other weapons, they're probably, like in my opinion, if the game script stays the same, so let's say they have the same win total and a roughly similar game script, they're not going to run as many plays on the ground. They're going to pass more. Now, could they win more games and therefore run the ball more? Yeah, but I would say his carries are probably going to be reduced from what they were last season. They're going to pass the ball more if they have better receiving weapons. It just makes sense. So you give him a bump down in carries. That he already had a low receiving floor. Like if he only gets like 18 receptions, that is really tough in PPR leagues. You're looking at like 1 point a game, like probably 1.5 to 2 points a game in receiving. It's really difficult to pay off his ADP at that price. Now, could he? Yes, because the rushing yardage should be there, and he's going to be the goal line back. And if I expect that offense to score more points, they're going to score more touchdowns, which means he has a higher touchdown expectancy. Now, they're fluky, yeah, but for a goal line running back and a team that's going to score more, you have to increase his expectancy. So where do we stand? We've seen the downside of Mixon, his inefficiency, his never really showing it to us in the pros, versus Howard's, lack of receiving upside. Who would pick? For me, it's Mixon in PPR. And that's tough looking at how bad he was last season in the efficiency standpoint from a player who drafted him. I mean, I drafted him last season in my money league, and he did disappoint. Like he was a disappointment last season. It didn't help that, right when he was going to get that potential work late in the season, right when you're hoping for it, he gets a concussion. It didn't help, but that's not something we can predict. But if you look at projections, and I looked for a few different sites, Howard's anywhere from like 1,000 to 1,300 rushing yards. 1,300 being like the massive upside. No one's really projecting him that much, but like that's something he could do. Even if we give him that 12 to 1,300 range, and we put Mixon around 1,000 or even a little less than 1,000 rushing yards, Mixon is still grading out with more PPR points than Howard. It's really close when you put it at 1,300, but Mixon still beats him out in PPR just because the receptions are going to be there. I think he had 30 receptions and 34 targets. I should probably look that up, but it's around there. And he didn't start very many games at all, so he's going to have more workload this season. I just think if you beat the guy by 20 receptions, that's really tough to make up in the receiving or in the rushing aspect of your game. The touchdown projections are very similar. They're fluky, but if you look at both guys and you break it down, they're both projected around that like 6 to 8 range, roughly. Maybe you could go 6 to 9, but if that's the same, then you have to take Mixon in PPR. In half point, I'm still taking Mixon. In standard, it's a coin flip. If you want to take Howard in standard, just because it's basically, do you believe in that offense? That's honestly what it comes down to. If you're someone who sits there and says, no, I don't believe in Trubisky, I don't believe that offense got much better. We haven't seen Allen Robinson in a long time. Who's to say he's the same? Gabriel's Gabriel. Like he's not like some prolific athlete. Maybe you don't believe in Miller. Then don't draft Howard. If you don't believe in the Bears, don't draft Howard. If you're someone who believes in that young offense, you believe that they're going to win more games, score more points, then I would take Howard in standard. And that's probably what I would do. If you wanted to take Mixon because you believe that he could be the next Lev Bell and you think that last season's inefficiency was just the O-line, it was injuries, it was him just being young, then take Mixon. It's whatever narrative you believe because the projections come out very close and the skill sets come out very close for standard scoring. For me, it's Mixon in PPR in half point and it's Jordan Howard in standard scoring. All right, that's the end of the breakdown. If you liked the video, hit the like button. It lets me know that you guys like this series, in which case I'll make more of these videos, and let me know in the comment section as well. If you like the series, well, then give me a suggestion. Give me a suggestion of some people. I've gotten suggestions on McKinnon, which I'm definitely going to do. Derrick Henry, I'm definitely going to do. But maybe some wide receivers as well. Definitely if there's running backs, of course, put it in. But it feels like that mid-round range is where people start to struggle because everyone knows who the elite guys are. Everyone knows who we're targeting late. It's all those upside guys. But sometimes the mid-range can be a little tough to handle because there's so many guys that are so close to each other. So if there's any guys in the mid-range that you really want me to go over, preferably, I guess, give me two guys. I can do a video like this, and I can kind of compare two players. But if it's just, one guy you really want to know, I'll match him with someone. So let me know in the comment section if you like the video, if you want a pairing of two players in the mid-range, late range, whatever you want to do, let me know in the comment section. Also, the premium rankings are basically done. We are very, very close to finishing those. After I record this, I'm working on the quarterbacks, and I want to almost get those finished. But you can download them on the website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. Go there, check them out. You can download what we have right now, but I'll let you guys know when they're completely ready. But again, you can just download them, and it just saves to your computer every time I save them. All right. That's the end of this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, how about we hit that like button? How about we subscribe if we're new? Thanks for watching.